Welcome to the Cheat Code Corner, where we hit you with the cheat codes to help you advance in the areas that you care about. I'm your host, DC, and today we got a special guest, my man, Tarik Lowe.
Hey, what's going on?
What's good, man? How you feeling?
I'm feeling great, man. It's good to be here. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you joining. I mean, this guy's resume is stacked, but he's Hollywood. You're Hollywood. You do realize that, right, Tarik?
Hey, man, people have called me that in the past, you know.
You are Hollywood. I mean, look, let's think about it. Let me do a quick rundown. I mean, was in Whiplash, co-writer and in supporting characters, Ava's Possessions and Little Paradise, and that's just movies. I mean, you've been on Law and Order and Major Crimes and Outsiders as well. I mean, and then we didn't even go to the voice stuff, right? The voice stuff, which is, I remember a couple of times you were on Sprite commercials. That was during like the finals, right? The NBA finals.
Yeah, that was me and LeBron on that commercial.
Yeah, I remember that. McDonald's, Burger King, Checkers, and then my favorite, Gillette. The best a man can get.
The best a man can get. Yeah, man.
No, man, so
that's a great intro, bro. Man, I appreciate you, man.
Dude, man, I'm so happy you joined, man. And it's so interesting. I don't know if I ever told you this, but when I refer to you, right, I like I say, I'm like my very good friend Tarik, who's a working actor, you know, and I make sure to put that preference because that's what you are, and you've been doing it for years now, decades, right?
25 years, yeah.
25 years. And part of the reason why I'm going to give you some flowers, and part of the reason why I wanted you on this podcast and to provide some of the insight is because you are in show business and you have done a wide variety of things across multiple mediums. And you've done that to reach a level where you can support your family and yourself through that. And I don't really know anyone else that can do that. You know what I mean? That's been doing that. And I know it couldn't have been easy. I've been doing the corporate route. And so I really wanted to kick off and really kind of gain some of your understanding of what are some of the cheat codes and things that you've done there. So why don't we kick off, man? What have you been up to lately?
Hey, man, I'm in an interesting period of life right now. My fiance is pregnant, and she's about 9 months pregnant and some change, which is if anybody has been in that experience, it's a very life is really happening fast, and but also it's slow. We're taking time to like really enjoy ourselves and enjoy each other just before, this baby comes and adds a whole new dynamic to living. So aside from that, I'm always focused on doing other things. Self-development is huge for me, and something that you just have to maintain throughout life if you really want to live it on the highest level. So every day I wake up, I wash the dishes every morning, just to let my body know this is a body that works. We're not afraid to get our hands dirty. I go out and I run. Today I ran 6 miles. Yesterday I ran 7 miles. I try and run 5 days a week. That combined with, every other day hitting the weights, the free weights. I don't need no gym. Right. I don't need no gym. I'm the gym. And that's what I've been up to lately. Just loving my fiance and making sure she's feeling taken care of. Mm-hmm. And at the same time, I just sent an audition in for on my microphone for voiceover, and still auditioning, doing things of that nature.
So I've always been kind of impressed by how have you been able to always manage the self-care, the balance of taking care of yourself, but also you've always been working for as long as almost for as long as I can remember. Obviously you've had different periods of more work than others, but you've always been able to balance it. And I don't feel like that's that easy. I mean, how have you been able to manage that?
Well, I'm lucky. I'll tell you how I got started acting. When I was 10 years old, I kind of knew I wanted to act. And I reached out to an acting manager who lived in the same town, Teaneck, and she wanted me to bring my parents in. My father was raising me. My father raised me from 10 and up. And I told my dad, I think I'm going to be an actor. And he brought me in. He had all these ideas how I should deliver the words that she sent me to read in front of her. And I just threw all of his ideas away and did my own thing. And I think it was real liberating for me as a 10-year-old, to feel like I was in control of something that my father couldn't understand.
Yeah.
And she offered me a contract right on the spot, and I started acting. In the acting game that I'm in, if you don't have an agent, you're not really doing it. And so what that afforded me an opportunity was I got a manager who introduced me to agents. The agency that I'm with today, Innovative Artists, she introduced me to them. So that's how I've been able to stay afloat, stay busy, keep multiple lines of streams of income coming in from different avenues of acting, is because I'm connected to an agency that has agents that do all these different things. And, you know, a lot of them are friends and good people to me.
So it's not, but I mean, I think like you mentioned this, if you don't have like a manager or an agent, it's hard to be doing things consistently. It's not that easy to get that though either, right? Especially at least working at the agency you're at and putting yourself in a position to be able to have even those multiple streams, right?
Absolutely. I would say getting an agent, getting a solid person. Okay, this is what I always tell people. If, as an actor, you need one person that loves you. That's powerful.
Okay.
Right? That's all you need. You need one person that loves you. That's powerful. Yeah. And yes, it's about 70% of it is getting an agent. The only way you're going to do that is if you have something that sets you apart.
Yeah.
The way I got my agency deal, I was they had seen me as a commercial actor for a long time. I had been doing a lot of commercials. We didn't even put this out. I didn't even tell you this, but I did probably 30 national commercials where I'm physically in the commercial, you know, growing up throughout the years. And so my agency saw me as a commercial guy. What happened was I got this deal with Bank of America, where I was in all the Bank of Americas throughout the world. They had me cut out cardboard cutouts of me in all the Bank of Americas, and they gave me a web series. That deal was lucrative enough for me to ask the agency, hey, would you guys see me as a real actor and start sending me on TV and film auditions? And that I used that leverage to get them to give me a deal across the board. Once I did that, I started to make friends with some of the agents, and that's how I got to impress some people.
So what it sounds like I'm hearing, and listen, I'm not in that business, so you know what I mean. You're schooling me on it, but what it sounds like, to reach a point where you have multiple opportunities, I mean, you have to have a specialty or do something where somebody loves you and that you're known for something, right? That's bringing value to the organization,
right?
Businesses, okay.
Right. I mean, I got to put it frankly, the year before I got across the board deal with my agency, I had done 11 national commercials in 1 year. And so that was before I had gotten the Bank of America deal.
Yeah.
And so it was like, they were like, look, the guy's got something. Yeah. We don't know what it is.
Yeah.
And they started sending me out on TV and film auditions.
Do you think a lot of people know that not so much that was your journey, but that in order to springboard into other things, whether it's writing, whether it's, you know, voiceover work, whether it's commercials or movies, that's something, you know what I mean, that you have to have proven yourself. I mean, that's what you did, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think you can prove yourself in a lot of ways, but if you can make a statement in any way, you can really create something. If you look at people like Issa Rae, she had a awkward Black Girl series on YouTube, and you know, that was unique enough and her enough for HBO to say, hey, why don't we give her a show? Now she just signed a over $10 million deal. I think with I'm not sure what company with she signed it with, but she just broke through in that way, and now she's going to have many different avenues. I think focus on, you know, I could say focus on one thing, but that actually is not the real game. The real game that I've discovered, and this has come in my 30s. I'm 36 now. Don't let the baby face fool you. I'm 36 now. But you know, the real focus you need to have is on yourself. Is on instead of working. I'm saying that instead of focusing on getting better at your job, Focus on becoming a better person all around. Focus on your discipline. Focus on your focus. Meditate. Do things that other people do not do because it will stand you apart. And when it's all said and done, you're going to have things that you walk into a room with that you can't express to people. You know what I'm saying? Hey, listen, you run a marathon. Every time you walk into a room, you are a man who walked into a room or a woman who walked into a room. You ran a marathon. You don't got to tell anybody that.
Yeah. You know, internal confidence. You know what I mean? Like when you do those things, it's so funny you should bring that up. Discipline. You know, I'm big on discipline, man. You know what I mean? Like,
yes, sir.
I mean, me personally, you know, I've never been particularly talented. You know what I mean? Like, again, I'm not charming like you or funny or these things, but I do have a high level of discipline where I can do something consistently, which has positioned me to help me in other things, whether it's sales or what have you. But discipline's tough, man. Discipline's tough.
We're all talented. We're all talented in our own unique ways. I think God put us on this planet with a specific something that sets you apart. You know, we came out of this world. We didn't come into this world. We came out of this world. We grew out of this world like an apple grows on a tree. And so we have a purpose, and we all have talents. You know, you, Damien, have been my idol of what I should be maintaining as far as discipline for a long time. But you're not seeing too many people keeping themselves together as well. That's a supreme level of discipline. That's a talent too. That's a talent too. Because some people, they'll go, how's he do that? I don't understand how you could just wake up and eat clean and work out. How does he do that? They can't even figure it out.
Right.
You know?
I mean,
so
I think you're right though, man. Like, you know, you talked about, you said at this point now it's having multiple things, but personal development. I mean, I think that is critical, but it could be tough, right? It could be tough to do that when you either trying to break into the business. But I remember this might've been years ago, like you always were taking acting classes and then you switched over to writing. So, I mean, you were doing the work, you know what I mean, for a while.
Yeah, no, I always believed in studying and doing the work. But, you know, is it difficult? I don't know. Is it difficult? Yeah, it's difficult to stay consistent, but really it boils down to action, right? It's like knowledge is not power. Knowledge is the potential of power. It's not power. Action is power. Right. Reading a book, you could say, oh, you know, okay, I'm going to start reading a book, but you read that book, you finish that book, then you've learned that, you've locked that in. But it starts with you opening it and looking down on the page and reading it slowly until you grasp it. Yeah.
I've been like, it's funny as we get older, right? Like I've become more biased towards action. You know what I mean? Just like that. I do action first. Like, yeah, it's cool to think, and I try to read a book a month and all that stuff, but I want to put that into action. I wanted to put cheat codes into action. And so that's actually something that, you know, when I've looked at you and what you've done, I mean, I'm like, always like, this guy's he's always been working for as long as I know, doing different things, consistently trying to, I'm doing writing more, I'm directing more, I'm doing all these things. Like, how do you lean into that, I guess is the question. Like, you know what I mean? How do you said personal development, that could be a cheat code, like focus on you, but what specific actions were you doing? Was it, hey, I'm going to exercise, I'm going to always talk to my agent? Like, what are some of those direct things that you've done that you feel like has really helped you to stay at this level and then also continue to rise?
Well, yeah, that, you know, for me, it starts with, first of all, like itemizing, writing down what you want. Right? I got a list of things that I want that will fulfill my life for some purpose. At the end of the day, this is just life. It's don't take it that seriously. You're not going to get out alive. Okay. You know, it's not that. But what we have is tasks. We have tasks that we can accomplish that provide us a sense of satisfaction. They're never going to make you happy. It's never going to make you happy. Money's never going to make you happy. Getting that dream job that you think you want is never going to make you happy. Happiness is internal. So I started off with a list of things, and I started to think about, what do I want? Part of what I want was, of course, acting. I've always loved acting. I love being able to do it. I love the joy that brings me. But what else? Well, I also like books. I also love the art of storytelling. Mm-hmm. And so I picked up writing from that. And so now they got this master classes on online. It costs you $200 a year, but you can learn anything. So no one has any excuse why you can't become a writer. So I took all the classes on writing on Masterclass. I took David Mamet's. I took Aaron Sorkin's. I took Walter Mosley's. I took Rushdie, I never could say this dude's name, but I took his class too. And all the dramatic writing class, so I can learn about it. So now you don't just have to sit there and make all the mistakes. You can learn from greatness. And that's what I kind of do. You got to listen. That's the most important thing, is listening and taking in good ideas. Mm-hmm. You don't let anybody tell you what to do, but you got to listen to everybody and decide for yourself what seems to make sense. Because I don't think anybody can teach you truth. I think you can hear truth and recognize, oh yeah, that's true. Right. No, there's just an inner compass that tells you, yeah, actually I heard that this guy is saying some real stuff. That's truth. You can only recognize it.
Let me ask you about the truth, because I think you bring up a good point. I feel like it took me a long time, and I'm still on that journey of processing information so that I can hear better truth. Like, I feel like it took me a while to really you know what I mean? To really, like, when you start to hear when things start to resonate, like Les Brown, those motivational speakers, all that, when you're younger, you're just like, I ain't even trying to hear that. Yeah, your man, you know what I mean? Your man is wilding. But as I've gotten older and they talk about all the things that they start talking about make sense. Right. So I guess what I'm trying to understand, is, do you feel as though you were able to hear truth all the time, or did you have to go through some tough times and some, and get knocked down to be able to reach a point where, now you start to hear the truth?
No, man. Yeah, absolutely. I definitely, first of all, shout out to my mom, who always played Tony Robbins when I was growing up. I grew up listening to self-help, and those ideas did not permeate into me.
Right. As a kid, does it resonate, bro? They sound crazy. Like, they sound, you know what I mean? My uncle works for Tony Robbins as a videographer. He's great. You listen to him.
He's greatness. He's greatness. How about this? This is a short list of people that, if you listen to these guys, you can say whatever you want. This is truth. These guys are only operating from a level of truth. You can say, well, it could be their truth. But if you live like them, you're mastering life. Jim Rohn.
Favorite.
Number one.
He's great.
If you don't know who Jim Rohn is, Google him right now. Yeah. Jim Rohn's number one.
Listen to him this morning.
I'm going to be honest. For me, Tony Robbins is number two.
Okay.
I rock with Tony Robbins.
I love Tony Robbins.
Tony Robbins is number two. I need energy and emotion. I go to TD Jakes. Yes. That man sends me to church every time. Shout out to TD Jakes. Yeah. Les Brown. And then I'm gonna end the list with Eric Thomas. Because that's just that raw, like, hey, get up, do what you got to do today. You know, so those are the mentors that I have when I need resources for where do I go? How do I maintain this hunger? Yeah.
It's so, this conversation is so timely. And, we've both been grinding. You've been grinding probably longer than me, but I've been doing the corporate thing. And recently I've had some success. I've been able to pay off a couple things. And, when you have debt that's suffocating for a long time, that can take a real toll on you, right? And I was lucky enough to pay off some school debt because, went to Penn State, and parents couldn't really pay too much for that. And I spent 10 years plus paying for it. And after I made out of it, I paid for it, I felt this like relief, right? Because it took so long. But then after, I was just like, now what? You know what I'm saying? I had spent most of my life trying to get out of debt. You know what I mean? And actually what helped me to light the fire was listening to those 5 guys that you talked about it's never enough. Keep on going. You know what I mean? Like it really helped to help me identify what I want. And one of the first things that I had to learn, and you mentioned it earlier, find a vision of what is it that you want. After I paid off debt, I had to figure out what is it that I want. You know what I mean? What is it that you want? Got to write it down. And then you got to figure out how do you get after it. But it's not easy though. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of people don't know how to pick and choose what they want. And then it's hard for them to back into it. You know, people don't like writing down goals because then they can experience failure and all that stuff. So it's tough, man. But those are lessons I think we pick up over time.
It's certainly tough, man. But you know, it starts with action. It starts with action. It doesn't happen if you sit on your couch and you're smoking weed and you're playing video games all day. It doesn't happen there. It starts with action. And the only word that should go with action is massive. Massive action. Make decisions, even if they're the wrong ones, you'll fix them. You'll make the wrong decision, realize it's the wrong decision, and then make the right decision. It's fine. You got time.
Yeah. Well, let me ask, man. Let me ask, because like, you know, now, you know, you're in such a great place, you know, baby on the way, you know, your fiance there, and like listening to, you know, you got truth behind you, you know where you're at, and it sounds like you understand where you're going, which is, it sounds like a very liberating and freeing place. You know what I mean? But like, what about some of the, you know, as a working actor, I know there was down times and things like that. I mean, how were you able to address some of those? Because like the work can be up and down, right?
I mean, it's always up and down. I try to look at it. I worked with the guy. I was on the show Major Crimes, and I worked with the guy. His name was Raymond Cruz. He's a pretty popular Mexican actor. Very, very talented guy. And he told me, he said, you know, right now you have a job. We were on set one day. He's like, just, you know, talking to me. He's like, you know, right now you have a job, but your career is what you need to worry about. That's where you need. Don't sit in this. This doesn't, you know, it's about the career. So I kind of, ever since he told me that, I kind of looked at it like that. It's like, I want to, what's going to really represent me is how I'm looked at the end of this. Mm-hmm. And it's all just a journey. And my job is to improve myself so that the journey could be more gratifying to me. Yeah. That's just my job. I don't really make it any deeper than that. Yes, I'm lucky to be able to pay my bills, pay my girlfriend, take care of her, make sure everything is good for us. Mm-hmm. And that's a nice feeling. But for me, it's just a journey, and I'm just, every day it's hard every day. It's hard every day. Some weeks are better than others, but life's not supposed to be easy.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, they say, what was it? It was a crazy quote. It's not mine. I'll butcher it. But it was just something about how they say, like, the suffering, the hard times enable you to really appreciate the good times, you know? And it's not like you can just be happy all the time, but you got to really, you know, it's the things that you achieve over time and that gratification from you know what I mean? From beating out those goals that actually brings joy, like internal fulfillment, which is about.
Progress equals happiness. If there's anything that's a link to happiness, it's not. I mean, money will drive you up to happiness's doorstep.
It can get you. I mean, it can get you. Here's the thing, right? I was talking to my brother the other day about it, and he's like, you know, money can't buy you happiness. I'm like, look, man, I get it can't buy you happiness, but I'd rather have cash. You know what I mean? I'd rather have cash than not. Like, you know what I mean? Like, being broke sucks. I hated it, man, and I ain't going back to being broke, bro. Like, I'm not going back to it. So, like, I'd rather be unhappy with cash than broke and unhappy. You talked a bunch about, like, focusing on yourself, right? You talked about, you know what I mean, listening to mastering the master classes. So just constantly working on your craft, diversifying the things that you do. I mean, you know, we talked about commercials. You talked about voiceovers, writing this and that. I mean, you know, when you think about if you were to talk to yourself 10 years, you know what I mean, 10 years ago or whatever, you could go back in time. What is something else do you think that you maybe just missed or you would tell yourself, you know, 25-year-old Tarik, besides some of the stuff I mentioned?
I would have told myself that you're gonna be 36 in 10 years. You're gonna be 36 in 10 years. You should prepare for that more.
You didn't know. And do you know though? Do you know how fast 10 years goes?
It's fast.
Yes, no, it is. But it's only once you get older and you've lived through 3 decades that you're like, oh yeah, 10 years is not that long.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So if you were to tell your 25-year-old self that, do you think he would have really understood that though?
when I was 26 was a pretty good year for me. I wrote a movie that got made and went to Tribeca Film Festival along with 33 other film festivals. I moved to LA into a big house, 26 was a good year. You really couldn't, I didn't have it all together, but I had the outlook of things was pretty positive for me at 26. So I'm sure that I would have even listened to my future self at that time, because I would have also told myself at the time to stop drinking. And I was drinking a lot, and I no longer drink at all. And listen, I think a lot of drinking is works for a lot of people, but for some people it doesn't work for. It didn't work for me, and I had to let that go. And that would actually had a profound effect on who I've become today. Being able to let go of the drinking and the heavy partying that I was doing. That was fun at the time, but overall, it's not going to be a part of my larger story, And I learned how to substitute out. Because people go, oh, wow, you stopped drinking. Like, what do you mean? You don't drink a little bit on New Year's, your birthday? No. I don't drink at all. I don't have one drink. I haven't had one drink since 2018, the end of 2018. And what that did was that was taking a lot of space of my life. The partying, the drinking was taking a lot of space in my life. And when I was able to free that space up, naturally, you add some things into your life, right? So for me, I got this sense of discipline that I didn't have because I had so many days that I'd wake up too hungover to do stuff. Yeah. And I started to see things in my life change. Also, I got more money in my pocket. I got almost immediately, I had a lot more money in my pocket just over the span of time. You spend a lot of money when you really live in the lifestyle that I was living. So, those are the things I would tell myself. I would just say, get more focused and remember that the opportunities you have, they're there, but they're there for a limited time. And you got to seize those, because if you're not seizing those, there's another guy that looks just like you, that got the same talk you got, that's out there seizing those opportunities. And when he shows up and you show up, if you're not on point, he's going to beat you. Facts. And that's a reality too. We live in America. There's a lot of competition out here.
Yeah. I like that, man. He's going to beat you.
100%.
Man, it's crazy hearing, like, I learned stuff I didn't even know about you. This, during this podcast, man. I appreciate you sharing all that, man. If someone doesn't take away at least one thing from this, man, then it's unfortunate. I think everyone, you talked earlier, you said everyone has a talent, and I do believe that, but I also just feel like anyone can have knowledge from their own experience to share. And I extract knowledge. It doesn't matter who they are, how old they are. I can learn from other people. And I learned from you today, and it's just, that's why I created the platform, is just to provide an outlet for, if somebody can take something away and they don't have to go through the same thing you did or I did, you know what I mean? That would be so worth it.
Absolutely, man. Also those books behind you, man. I'm just looking at the Mike Tyson, man. Mike Tyson, me and you share that. We got a lot of love for Mike, man.
I love Mike, man. He's been, Mike is the one, man. You actually also, I only read nonfiction and biographies and things. That's just a personal preference, no shade to anything else. And you gave me The Alchemist, and that was the only fiction book that I've read in probably 10 years.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Seriously, I don't read it. And I was so thankful. You remember you gave it to me, and I was just like, I really don't, but I read it, man, in Personal Legend. And it just goes to show you, man, that sometimes, you can be locked in on your preferences. I like this, I like that, I like this and like that, but you can open it up and you give me that book. It's one of my favorite books, man. And so that's something, at least for me as a cheat code, is like keeping your mind open, being willing to not just read, but expose yourself to new knowledge. It opens things up, man. It opens up doors.
Every single day. Every single day. I want to give you my three cheats. I'm gonna give you my three cheats. My three cheats aren't gonna make any sense. They're not gonna make any sense if you don't do them.
All right, let's hear it.
Two of them I discussed already, so really only one is gonna be one, and the one I'm going to say really doesn't make sense. First of all, running, long distance running, at least 3 miles, 4 miles, get you into some kind of space. 5 miles, you'll start feeling it. 6 miles, good shape, good space to be in. If you can run 5 to 6 miles, don't do it immediately. Take your time, work it up. I started with 1.5 miles. Okay. Long running. What that does is teaches you how to suffer. Believe it or not, success is knowing how to suffer. It's that simple. A person that is successful has suffered more than a person that's not successful. Not meaning that they suffered on a different level where they had to grow. They accepted failure, right? They accepted that the business didn't work out, the plan didn't work out. Okay, what did I learn from here? Moving on. That is suffering. So that's what I learn every day when I do those runs. I'm learning and I'm training myself to be okay with suffering. I know it hurts. I know I want to stop. I don't do that, right? Running is number one. Number two is meditation. For me, meditation, if you practice it for a while, you will find a space that only people that do it will understand. I dissolve and I can exist in a space that is not of this world. Sounds crazy, whatever. It's what I do every day. The third one is connected to the first one in that it's learning how to suffer. Freezing cold showers. 2-minute freezing cold showers.
You do that
every single day.
I've heard it. I can only do it at the end of the shower, but I've heard.
Oh yeah. Take a regular shower first. No. Take a warm shower, do the things, and then take that nozzle and flip it to the and just and stay in it until you have no emotions. About 2 minutes is when you get there. Stay in it until you have. I know. Trust me. I had to start too. It was hard, but now it's very satisfying. And those things I feel like make me a better person are my 3 personal cheats.
I love that.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of which, man, and you talked. I love that you share those, man. I like how you broke them down. I wanted to switch over to, it's a quick, while we're wrapping it up, it's called my power questions. It's kind of rapid fire questions geared to give us insight into a few core things. So number 1, how many hours of sleep do you get?
Not many. Honestly, I wish I slept more. I probably sleep about 5 to 6 hours a day.
5 to 6 hours a day. Diet. Yeah. What does your diet look like?
I intermittent fast every day, 16 hours. I'm a maniac. I intermittent fast every day, 16 hours. And to be honest with you, I throw a smoothie in there, but you will definitely catch me eating a cheeseburger or French fries, as one of my meals. So I'm not super hard on diet.
Activity. What activity do you do to unwind?
I watch television. We'll sit and we watch a show. We're watching This Is Us. We watch every episode and we cuddle on the couch, and that's how I unwind.
Love that. What is, if you could have a superpower, what would it be?
If I would have a superpower, I guess I would be able, it's not quite a superpower, but it's almost a superpower. I would want to be enlightened. I'd want to be able to experience the fullness and the oneness of the universe. I would like to be enlightened and not be affected by, whether it's raining or it's sunny. I'd like to be enlightened.
I love that. And last one is, so what are you reading or listening to?
Right now I'm reading a play by Sam Shepard. I try and read, I'm reading a book on the gut. Today I was reading I read a lot. Today I was reading a Thich Nhat Hanh book about Buddhism, really into Buddhism. And, Thich Nhat Hanh is probably one of my favorite, people, just as far as he's not on the Jim Rohn, Eric Thomas tip. He's a very spiritual dude. He's 93 years old. He's from Vietnam. He basically, him and Martin Luther King were boys. You know what I mean? He came out when Vietnam War came He came out to America and spoke at a lot of conferences, and him and Martin Luther King became cool. And I think he got the Nobel Prize the year after Martin Luther King got it, Peace Prize. So I read a lot of him. Every day I would kind of focus on either both physical. The play I read is the play I read to keep my mind on top of good writing, and Thich Nhat Hanh I read for my soul's purpose.
Well, brother, man, this is, we're coming to the end, man. I so appreciate you, man, for stopping by the Cheat Code Corner, man. This was fantastic. This is one of my favorite episodes, man. And thanks for sharing so much. I just really appreciate it, man. This was great.
Anytime, man. Anytime. Everybody out there, stay focused, stay disciplined, love yourself, and don't end up with the wrong girl. Because I feel like if you got real hesitation, just listen to it and get out, because the right person in your life or the right man in your life is what you want, because that's gonna help your soul as well. But stay focused on yourself and keep it all balanced. Know how it is.